discussion and possible action on the status of the conditional use permit for Lilac Acres located at S47 W23045 Lonsdale Road. I asked to put this on the agenda, have some information which I considered sharing with you tonight upon the recommendation of Attorney Macy, and I'm going to decline to do so at this time. I don't know whether you want to speak to that issue further or not.
You asked me to, Mr. Chairman, so I would, if you would like me to, I can. It's my recommendation that when dealing with this matter at any time, as I indicated at the joint meeting, you all have to be very careful about ex parte communications and contacts. I believe that this is could become, if they petition to amend the conditional use or other actions are taken, a quasi-judicial action. And so you're just reminded, as I indicated at the last meeting, to be very cautious as to who you talk to, what information you receive, how you receive it. So the chairman says there's a lot of questions out there, and I believe there are. I believe under public comments, some of those questions may have been answered, but there are other questions. I recommend that to receive information on this file, we do it in an official fashion. And that means that you direct, like you did your town planner, to prepare a report. And in that report, they address any questions that you might have. Currently, I think the planning issues, others than may have been brought up tonight, the planning issues were put on a report and were on that agenda, correct? I think we can all agree with that. Now there's questions on the zoning and occupancy permits, which are legitimate questions. And I think if we deal with the facts and all we present are the facts in a fair and unbiased manner, I believe that's able to be done. So it's my recommendation that when these matters are on the agenda, they should be on the agenda to review reports, and those reports should be specifically requested. The chairman, I thought, was appropriate. He requested a planner report. No one objected to that. He had a series of questions, objective questions, that he wished to be answered. And I believe we're at a point that there are a number of questions on the zoning permit, building permits, and occupancy permits. And those would be questions that the administrator should work with the building inspector and present a report. The information, and we're not hiding any report, they're public documents and people want them. It's just, I believe that information presented to a quasi-judicial body has to be presented in a specific fashion, and that's why I'm recommending that instead of just giving email threads or simple documents, reports, that they be done in the form of report answering questions. So everybody sees it, everybody has the same information in a formal way. That's my recommendation.
The only comment that I would make responsibly, thing that I would take exception to is saying all the planning issues were, I don't want to put words in your mouth, basically the planning issues are over because Planner Malarkey issued a report.
I didn't mean to say that, Mr. Chairman.
Well, maybe I missed, let me just finish, maybe I misconstrued it, but I think that's getting ahead of ourselves a bit to close the door on that.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to say, I believed the questions that you had asked him to answer were, I didn't know that we left with any unanswered questions. We have unanswered issues.
Right.
He certainly indicated there are plans that needed to be updated, and there was then the conditional use itself would have to be amended on one issue to summarize his report. I just didn't think we had anything more you were asking of the planner at the moment.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification. I think that's a little bit different, but I think that's spot on. But I mean, in terms of planning issues, we're not going to dive into it tonight, but huge discussion that went on for almost an hour 2 weeks ago and it was represented. We won't have final drawings for a few months, and the drawings to be our plans. Okay, anybody else want in on that issue?
What's the reason that we won't have drawings or plans?
There's no one here who can answer that question. If you have questions like that, as I indicated, my recommendation is that people filter their questions based on last meeting or this meeting, or we prefer you not get calls because that could be ex parte communications, to the town administrator, and the town administrator prepare a report with the assistance of the staff. In this case, I think many of those questions would be to the building inspector. So I certainly think your question should be answered. I just want to do it in a formal process so everybody, it's clear and to everyone what the questions were and what the answers were in a report.
So then do we let them keep operating under these conditions right now, or do we?
I mean, it's my understanding they have a temporary occupancy permit and it is very specific and as to what they can do and what they can't do, but that's a question, again, you would ask the building inspector. It's my understanding that they have the right to operate in a limited capacity. That's my understanding. Mr. Chairman, you worked on this today too, and I don't want to put anybody
Yeah,
on the
they-
spot. These are the questions that we should get to the administrator and get a formal answer for.
What I think Attorney Macy is suggesting is that all these questions need to go in writing. They need to go to the administrator, I believe, is her suggestion, and whether they're ultimately directed to the town attorney, the town planner, the town building inspector, should basically be the traffic cop, if you will, and prepare a report. Is that the essence of it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So that's where we're at. Okay, anything further on that item?